What's going on, guys? Please let me know if there are any issues with the audio. But on my end, it looks like it's all working, so it should be fine. But yeah, just let me know if there are any issues. Alright, so I'm just gonna get started. Alright, and as usual, we're gonna start with the dollar. The purpose here is pretty straightforward. I'm just trying to identify which pairs I'm gonna be keeping, a close eye on the beginning of the week. So for me to really get a bias going into the market, it's usually easier to just start off with the dollar. If you can get a sense for the direction that the US dollar is going in, it usually makes it a little easier to have an idea of what some of the other pairs out there are going to be doing. Now, unfortunately, the US dollar, or DXY right here, has been stuck in this range for well over a year now. This started in April of 2025, and since then we're just kind of moving sideways, right? We swept liquidity down here, came up here, and now the last 5 weeks or so, 6 weeks or so, we're just kind of stuck in this sideways price action, right? And a lot of it is because of what's going on around the world right now. We're unsure. With dollar has been bearish this whole time because I think one of the main reasons is because people are expecting rate cuts, right? And now we're not so sure about that because of what's been going on in the Middle East. Now, I know that there are talks about a ceasefire. I'm not sure if it's been made official yet, but I know that it's in the pipeline. But because of it, oil prices going up, people expecting inflation to increase. The thought process was that rate hikes are likely going to come before rate cuts, which was, the driving force behind pushing dollar down to begin with, right? But having said that, let's try and see, the levels that I'm going to be watching, right? So we're stuck in this consolidation through most of May. It's been, 2 weeks now? Yeah. And last week, so on Thursday, we did sweep the highs, just barely though. So for me, these are still equal highs that I'm going to be watching for the most part, right? So we got equal highs up here. We got equal lows down here. And I think this fair value gap, this is a weekly fair value gap, right? So I had this marked out from last week, and I think for now the game plan is still very similar, right? Which was that I wanted price to come down into this weekly fair value gap, which it did, and I think it did that on Monday, actually. Yeah, so this was Monday. Price comes down to that fair value gap, and then we just continue ranging, unfortunately. But I still want to see what it does here, right? We're inside of this weekly fair value gap, and we got a daily fair value gap inside of it. So for me, I want to see if we get a reaction here, ideally on at least the 4-hour time frame, right? So usually for me, when I'm watching a weekly level, in this case the weekly fair value gap, I want to see a reaction, maybe a structure shift or a fair value gap forming on at least the 4-hour time frame, right? Below that, it's usually noise. 15-minute off a weekly level, it's a little hard to get a lot of conviction on that. It's like trying to trade a daily level on the 1-minute time frame, right? You might get a couple of trades here or there, but when you zoom out, usually it doesn't really make too much of a difference in the grand scheme of things because there's just so much noise, right, when you're on that small a time frame relative to the level that you're marking out. So yeah, want to see something happen here on the 4-hour time frame, see if we can maybe get up above this level. If that's the case, then I'll look for price to maybe attack these highs again. We could also always just get a liquidity sweep above this high and then come right back down, right? We could go back into a premium for this trading leg, and you notice how this level is right above that 50% mark, right? So usually when we, at least from what I've seen, right, very often what happens is when a new leg is about to start, that first move is followed by, a move back into a premium or a discount. Well, in this case, because we're going down, I would expect there to be, like, there's a possibility that we get a move back up into a premium. So liquidity sweep above this, and this anything above this 99.15 level, 99.146 level, that's going to be premium, right? Could get a sweep above that, and then followed by a move down, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of strength we see, what kind of weakness we see. Now there's also the possibility, and this would be the bearish case, right? There's also the possibility that we get rejected right here on this bearish order block now on the 4-hour time frame, right? So we could just as easily, price comes up here and then goes down, and the first target would be this low, right? So for this to create a new low after retesting this. So those are really my, everything is going to depend on this weekly fair value gap, right? Are we going to bounce off of it on at least a 4-hour time frame for me to feel that we're going to attack this high? And obviously if we hold above this high, then eventually these highs, right? That's case one. And case two is, okay, we either reject off of this bearish fair value gap and move lower, or we could come up into a premium, sweep this, and then kind of just see price hanging over here, right? If price comes up, kind of like a slow grind higher, and then just kind of chops there, then I'm going to look for something like that instead, right? Where we come up for the sweep, we kind of hang around, get that manipulation, and then reject and move lower, right? Now, this isn't necessarily the move that I'm going to chase. Like, this manipulation, if we get that, it would be beautiful, but I'm not going to lie and say that I'm going to get that. No, most likely, if I see that, I'm going to get this one, right? That next leg lower. This is going to be the high conviction trade for me, right? So those are really the two things that I'm watching for dollar. It all comes down to this weekly fair value gap. Now, unfortunately, I can't trade the dollar, right? I have to trade Forex pairs. And so this is tough, because when I look at the dollar, right, I could make a bearish case. And of course, if DXY is bearish, then chances are this is going to be bullish, right? Euro USD and DXY, they're inversely correlated. So if DXY goes up, this is going to go down, right? But if that goes down, this is going to go up. But right now, unfortunately, based off of this, I feel like there's a higher likelihood that we go lower on euro, right? Now that's, again, this is not a prediction by any means. Just what I'm seeing. I could be wrong, but I'm going into the market with a bit of a bearish bias on euro for this week. We are kind of above this resistance level that I marked out from a couple of weeks ago. You see this level, we have that, we're above that, but we are inside of this fair value gap. It's a very small weekly fair value gap. That one right there, right? We are inside of it, and yeah, but it's entirely possible that, we see a move early in the week above this high, and then we come back down to these lows, right? So me personally, you see how we're bounce. This is exactly where we're getting rejected now, right? Inside of this daily fair value gap as well. So we've got resistance inside of a daily fair value gap. We've also got the weekly fair value gap here. So until we get above it, I'm still leaning bearish on euro, rather than bullish if I had to pick a direction. And so while I just looked at DXY, and I'm saying that, okay, both could happen, right? We could either get the bullish case, we could get the bearish case. But looking at euro, that makes me feel like there's a better chance that we go up higher over here. At least we might even take out these highs, right? Just because euro looks more bearish than dollar does right now. So, it's also really hard to just conclusively say anything. Every weekend we've had some sort of political thing going on that changes everything. This is a perfect example of that. So yeah, EU, I don't like the range, but it makes me feel bearish on what's going on. The main pair that I'm going to be looking to trade if I'm bearish on DXY is this one right here, right? The Australian dollar. This really is the only one. I think it's the only major pair right now that's not in a range. it's trending and showing a lot of strength. Right now, a couple of weeks ago, we got that sweep of this consolidation range, right? And then last week, this past week, we basically got a nice little. Is it a bullish engulfing? Did we close it? I think we closed above it. So the high here, let me just move that down a little bit. The high over here is 71.84, and the close was 71.84.8. Oh wow, this is like basically closed at the same level. But either way, there's a lot of strength here relative to the US dollar and compared to other major pairs right now. So if DXY is in fact bearish, and I'm looking to trade Forex, and this is the main pair that I'm going to be watching, right? It kind of sucks that last week we couldn't really capitalize, because if you take a look here, we're still kind of in this consolidation or choppy range, right? So yeah, yeah, we gotta see how we got this engulfing here after the weekly sweep, but then we come back down. We still had that crazy long wick. Now this was when the news came out, right? I think most pairs have this kind of wick on Thursday. This was when the news came out that U.S. and Iran have agreed to a temporary ceasefire or whatnot. So yeah, until then, I guess it was bearish, but then now we're seemingly pushing higher. So let's see how this goes. But if we could get, so I'm going to get rid of this level for now. If this is in fact a change in a state of delivery, notice how we've closed above these two down close candles, right? I want to see that zone respected early on in the week, right? So this wick to body region, and what I would want is for price to respect it and then push higher, right? Now, I personally like trading for new highs, so I think it's entirely possible that we go for the high over here. All right, what kind of move is that? Let's see. That would be about 100. Yeah, just about 100 pips, right? So that would be a really nice trade. Again, I don't have to capture this entire thing. Honestly, 20, 25 pips is plenty for a really good trade. So the idea is the same. Once I see that we've got like a bullish structure going on, and on a lower time frame, it seems like there is in fact a trending market. I mean, this could really look like it's the start, right? You see how we come down, we sweep these equal lows over here. So price came down, swept these equal lows over here, right? We got this breaker block now. Price begins to, or no longer respects bearish PD arrays, right? So this order block was not respected. This fair value gap, the bearish fair value gap, was not respected. We push up. Instead, we respect this bullish fair value gap, right? So we come down here, we respect it, then we get this engulfing candle making a new high, right? So now this next low, I want to see it form somewhere here, and for price to continue to trend, and then now form, say, the buy side of the curve, right, all the way back up to this high. So this is definitely a pair that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. The only problem is that a lot of times, because it's the Australian dollar, it's the moves come during the Asia session, and I'm not always awake for that. I prefer trading the London session, but either way, the market's not going to wait for you to make its move, right? So if you really want to be part of the move, you got to find a way to be there for it. So yeah, this pair, definitely, if dollar's bearish, I'm going to be watching this, right? Definitely my favorite for now. New Zealand dollar, this was a little frustrating because, well, actually, it wasn't really frustrating. It was very clean, actually. A lot of this move higher was very clean. Now this is Exhibit A of, my bias last week being wrong. So I am, having this on the chart right now. So what happened was last week I thought price was going to go sweep the lows. You see what happened here? We come up, we had this consolidation range, right, up until the beginning of May. Price breaks up above it, basically manipulates higher and sweeps these highs, and then we come right back down. So naturally what I'm thinking is, okay, we're going to go sweep these lows, right, especially because we have these equal lows. And so when Monday opened here, so when this was Friday, sorry, last week, this was pretty much, we got a nice little rejection candle. I was thinking, okay, we're going to go for these equal lows next. we didn't do that, right? We had this. Then on Wednesday, so this happened. I'm pretty sure like the New Zealand dollar had some. There was some high impact red news folder event or whatever, right, on Wednesday. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that's what caused this shift in price. And we ended up getting an engulfing candle. So notice this happened on Wednesday, whereas for the other pairs, it happened on Thursday when the news about the Middle East came out. So this preceded that, right? That means I'm fairly certain that that's probably because there was some news for the New Zealand dollar that came out that was pretty bullish, and so this ended up pushing higher, right? Now, the 1 hour time frame, all right, this was honestly beautiful. So this was that push up. Price comes down into that fair value gap. Notice again, this is exactly what I was telling you, right? When price is ready to make a new leg higher or lower, usually after the first move, there's always a chance that it comes back into a premium or discount. So when we looked at DXY just now, I'll just open it later, but when we looked at DXY just now, I looked at price going back up into a premium, right, before making its next leg lower. So over here, because I'm looking for a leg higher, I expect price to come back into a discount, right? And it did. Under this 50% mark, price comes down to that fair value gap, and then immediately we see a reaction. Price pushes up, respects this fair value gap, right, makes the next leg higher, now respects this fair value gap. You see what's happening here. So basically, you've got now bullish fair value gaps, bullish PD arrays being respected, right, and then pushes up again, and then now we just continue going up, right? This was pretty much just a one-sided move. It was pretty insane. So, I mean, these highs are less than 10 pips away now, so I'm not going to be looking to trade that. But I don't think we stopped there. That was not on the weekly time frame. That was on daily. But here I am on the weekly. 1 second. That's 6012. Okay. Yeah, like me personally, I'm looking for price to come all the way back up to these highs, right? That would be the what I want to see first, though, is I want to see price get up above this and then close above that, use it as support to then go to those highs. So this is, if I were to trade the New Zealand dollar, this is basically what I'd want to see. Right, I'm not going long here. We're still at that same resistance level. Resistance. Right, I want to see price go up and close above it. Then I want to see it come back and retest this, see a reaction, and then, you know, give me some confidence that it's actually going to go higher to this 6120 level. Right, so that's going to be the game plan for NU. But again, I've had this level marked out since I'm pretty sure like at the beginning of the year. And we had this little fake out, came down, then we had it again over here in May, came down, and now we're pushing back up again. So, you know, one thing that could be happening is we are forming lower high, whereas over here it's a higher low, right? So this could be forming some sort of like a compression range as well. I hope that's not the case, but it is possible, right? So I would rather we break this high, hold it as support. That at least give me confidence that we're looking for a move up to the next highs, right? So I will keep an eye on this just because towards the end of the week, this one showed the most strength out of all pairs, right? So the Australian dollar, that's been showing strength for the last few weeks now. This one over the last few days, right? This one has the most momentum behind it at the moment. So we'll see. It's also entirely possible if we break up above this, but we don't close, and like say we come back down, right? Basically a turtle soup. Then I'm looking at these equal lows again, right? We could always come back to sweep this level, this liquidity down here. So, you know, it comes down to how price really reacts up here for me for the New Zealand dollar. So I'm kind of neutral on that one. Well, yeah, I am kind of neutral on that one, but I'm going to put it up there. I don't even want to talk about USD JPY. This is just so annoying. I'm not even going to bother. This chop has been incredibly bad. Can't be bothered about that. Yeah, GU. Just looking now. Same idea as EU, right? So we had this move down a couple of weeks ago. Price right now is inside of this weekly fair value gap. So you know, if we can reclaim this weekly fair value gap, then I'm looking at price potentially making a move up to these equal highs. Right, we left this before the move down. This one is, for me, you know, showing a little more strength compared to EU. So if I were bearish on DXY and bullish on foreign currencies, I would probably look to trade this over EU. Ideally, I don't want to trade either one because they both have been in such crappy ranges, right? I would much prefer to look at AU, the Australian dollar. But if I had to pick between EU and GU, I would pick this one. All right, just because I feel like it's got more strength at the moment. UCAD. No, I'm staying away from this. Yeah, I generally don't ever really trade the Swiss franc. It's one of the choppiest pairs there is out there. So, you know, you can kind of tell there's just a lot of ranges, no real displacement in any direction. So, I'm going to stay away from that. All right, let's get into gold, right? So let me actually a bunch of this stuff. All right, gold. This was it's been a very interesting week for gold. This consolidation just continues, right? It's so hard. It's been so hard to have like a real bias. For me, I've been kind of bearish overall. We're in this weekly fair value gap. Right, then we had this on 11 May. We had this, not a bearish engulfing, but we had a nice little rejection candle here. And I've been saying, okay, I want to see price go down, close below this 45.10 level. That's really been my the line in the sand for me. I want to see price come down, close below it. But you see how the last two weekly candles, right? We've swept it, but we're struggling to close below it, right? I've been saying that I want price to come down and fill out some of this wick that we had from that initial dump back in March, right? We did do it this past week, but it fell short of my target. And I remember talking about this in one of my streams for gold. I was looking at this low. There you go. Yeah, I was looking at that low as a potential target between there and this 50% mark, right? So somewhere here, ideally, was what I wanted. We fell short of that. I think an hour after we made those lows, that was when, again, the news came out. So if I go into the daily, you'll see, yeah, Thursday made the low, and then we pushed up right away. And we swept this range high, right? So we took out the high on Tuesday. We took out the high on both Tuesdays, actually. So the initial weekly high was set on, for this past week, was set on Tuesday. It was taken out on Friday. And the previous week's high on 19 May, that one was also swept, right? But again, we're still inside of this weekly fair value gap. So that's going to be the level to beat to make me feel like, okay, we're probably going back up to these highs, right? So if you remember, like a couple of weeks ago, I did mention that, you know, because gold is such a tricky pair to trade, it's very manipulated sometimes, right? You gotta be patient and really seek the high probability setups. I mentioned that one of the things that could happen was price could come up because I am still overall bearish on gold, not I don't think a bear market is starting, but I think we continue to consolidate and we hit lower prices, at least 4,100 to 3,900 again. But one of the scenarios that I laid out was price coming up and sweeping these highs to make people think that it's bullish again. So kind of like a manipulation above this high right here, right? And then hangs around above the high, and then we go make our new low, right? So this was one of the game plans that I laid out. So in order for me to revisit that and feel like, okay, there's a good chance that happens, right? This fair value gap needs to be reclaimed, right? So I want to see price trade through it. Then I can target 47.75 highs again. So if we get up above 46.44, right? We get up, we close above there. Then I'm looking at 47.70 and then 48.80, right? And it might not seem like a lot, but these are 1,000 pip moves, right? It's not going to be too difficult to get, you know, one or two trades a week of, you know, 100 pips, 150 pips. It's really not hard. It really comes down to just being patient, right? And for those of you in my Telegram, you guys know that sometimes I'm not going to take a trade every day, and it's fine. And I've had people DM me wondering like, hey man, when are you gonna actually like post something about gold, or when are you gonna? And I'm like, man, like maybe there are trades for other people, but like for my models, my setup, nothing's there, and I'd rather not take a trade than force myself into taking one just because, you know, there's a channel out there that I'm in. I don't want that, right? At the end of the day, I still got to protect my capital, and I'm still trying to get my payouts on my prop firm accounts. All right, so just something to keep in mind. I'm really not gonna rush it. I've been around for long enough to know that that only leads to bad things. Yeah. So either way, that's what I'm looking at for gold. The daily fair value gap. If we do reclaim it, looking for, you know, move into the highs, and then we'll see, okay, does it continue pushing, in which case I'll have to be like, wait, I need to flip my bias, or does it just kind of hang around over there? And if it hangs around over there, then I'm going to be like, wait, there's a possibility for manipulation here, and then price goes down. Now notice how I'm saying that. I'm not telling you, like, I'm not saying or expressing that we're going to do one thing or the other. I'm just saying what I think is going to happen and how I'm preparing for both possible game plans, right? And that's fine. Like, nobody knows what's going to happen. It's much better just stay prepared for both possibilities and then execute when the time comes. All right, so that's really what I'm looking at over here. I did close my my hedge on silver, right? So I was holding a hedge short, and if you guys don't know what a hedge is when you're protecting yourself from a long, well, another position, right? So I'm spot long, meaning I'm bullish on silver long term, right? And I'm holding it on spot, so no margin. And when I saw this price move down, to protect my spot holdings from further loss, I short this, so that whatever I lose in my spot values, I gain from my hedge position or from my short position here. So it's a defensive position, right? Hedges in general, in my opinion, their first purpose is to protect rather than to, you know, make more money right away or get a huge profit. So for me, that's what this was. And after Thursday, I decided to close that hedge for now. Just it's fine. I'll be okay. Like I don't want to force it just because if the, you know, we could, it's very possible that we do, you know, continue trading within this channel like I marked out the last couple of weeks. What's up, Gold Spot? How you doing, man? But yeah, it is very possible that we continue trading within this channel, but you can tell, like, just from this sideways movement, it's tough to get a bit of a bias right now on which way, you know, metals want to go, and it comes down to what happened with the dollar as well, right? Like, given all the geopolitical given all the geopolitics around the world, there's really you know, people don't know what to do, especially with inflation expected to rise, right? But yeah, for now I've closed this hedge short. I don't really day trade silver, but for gold, I'm still leaning bearish overall, but I want to wait and see what the market does, especially, you know, I want to see what is it going to do up here in this daily fair value gap. All right, so I guess, you know, we just got to be a little patient here and let the market and let price tell us what it wants to do. All right, so we'll see how that goes. That was quite a rejection, though, I'm not gonna lie, after sweeping the highs. But I mean, there wasn't any displacement down, but it was quite a long wick left to the upside. But I still think we revisit the highs of the range one more time early on in the week, especially now that this 4500 4510 level has been reclaimed. Right. Yeah, so AU, New Zealand dollar, those I'm primarily bullish on, especially if dollar goes down. If dollar goes up, I'll look to short EU instead. I'm not looking to short AU right now. NU, there's that condition where if this looks like a manipulation to me, where we come up here and price tells me that, you know, it wants to go back down and sweep these lows. That would be my only bearish case for this one, but I'm not going to force that either. Yeah, so that's basically Forex for now. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Wait. Here we go. Yeah, so it's been we had our first down close candle for NASDAQ on the week of the 11th of May. So notice how this was actually very clean, right? Price goes down, sweeps previous week's low into the weekly fair value gap, gets bought up. Right, next candle pushes higher right away. I am interested to see like look, now that we've closed up above this wick, I ideally want to see this level hold, right? If it doesn't hold, then I think we come back down into this gap, right? This is going to be a level for me to watch. But right now, if this is, when you've got a, for example, right, every time you close up above the consolidation range, the highs or even the down close candle, usually that's price telling you in one way or another that, hey, it's ready to try and expand higher. It's ready to continue in its direction, right? So we got the same thing here. So I want to see, something like that, right? A wick and then a buy back up. And look, with NQ, when you've got something that's just charging up higher like this every single day, right? It's hard to it's always tricky to come up with a target. Like, okay, where am I expecting price to go, right? Or what's my target for my trades? I'll tell you this: if you're bullish, you always want to target previous day highs, right? If you're bearish, you want to target previous day lows. It's a really good baseline to have. That's not to say that that's going to be the end goal, but it's a good way to give yourself two levels to kind of look at as targets on any given trading day if you have a bias for where you think price is going to go, right? So yeah, I can't be bearish on this yet. I mean, there's nothing bearish yet. It is an incredible move, and we are probably going to get some sort of a retracement at some point, because this is more than 30% now in the last 2 months. This was end of March to May. Yeah, 33% rise, just about, right? So this has been an insane run up higher over the last 2 months, right? It's just March 30th, I think, was the bottom. 31st, and yeah, and now we're on the 31st of May today. So yeah, ES has been equally insane. Yeah, I think Dow has been the more sober one of the three, but I don't really trade Dow, so I'm not gonna bother with this one. But yeah, this one, you see how this is what I'm saying, right? You got price closing above the consolidation range, kind of tells us that, okay, maybe it's ready to go push higher, right? Ready to expand higher. So we'll see. Maybe Dow has a killer run in the coming couple of weeks, but we'll see how that plays out. And finally, I just want to take a look at crypto really quickly. Oh man, I just want to show you how beautiful price action can be. Not that I'm happy about this at all. I'm really not happy that we're going back down. But let's look at the weekly time frame, right? Look at what happens here. We got a sweep, and we got a lower high into a weekly fair value gap. Sweeps the highs of the range. Rejection, and then price goes and makes new lows. Come again, we sweep the highs of this consolidation range into this weekly fair value gap, into this resistance, and our price continues lower, right? So on the weekly time frame, notice this price action, and like look at how it's being repeated basically on the daily, just right here, right? Price goes up, we get a rejection, come up, rejection. Like it's so sometimes market structure is just so, it's incredible to watch, right? How clean it can be. But we'll see. Like right now, we've got this fair value gap over here sitting at about 74,400, and this is also resistance now, right? This was the level that I was watching when we were in this range back in February and March, right? So I was watching this $74,000 level, and I kept saying, okay, the first level to get above is going to be this. This is resistance. If we can get up above it, then 80K, and then if we get up above 80K, then I'm going to be watching 94,000 instead, right? So those, I'm just going one level at a time. Now, we got rejected, but eventually we got up above it. We held it over here as support, but we got a turtle soup at that 80K level, right? Price broke up and then came right back down. And now we've broken through. Well, I mean, technically, there's still 6 hours before this weekly candle closes, but we've essentially broken through this support level now, right? And so, given that, and given that the structure here is still bearish, one has to wonder, right, if we're going back for some of these lows, right? So this would be the first target, 65,000. Let me pull out the volume profile real quick. Where's the value area high of this uptrend at? Oh, wow, okay. We got some high volume nodes at 68K. 68K was huge, right? It was also basically where a lot of the highs of this consolidation took place. So, same thing here. This is going to be crucial, right? If we break back down below where this consolidation made highs, we're basically going to go back to the lows. So I remember when we were at 60K, before this kind of push higher happened, I mentioned that we probably go see sub 60K, maybe even sweep these lows at some point, right? Now here's the problem. If we do sweep these lows, if we do go, and I'm getting slightly ahead of myself, but if we do go down this low, so yeah, that's going to be the next high volume node at 43,000. That's quite a ways away still. So yeah, things can get ugly really quickly, if Bitcoin doesn't start showing some sort of strength. It was a little annoying to see all assets across the board kind of find that push on Thursday. This was Thursday right here, right? But we didn't really see crypto get that push, so that was a little unfortunate, a little frustrating, but it is what it is. A lot of coins right now. I think BNB is one of the few that's just showing so much strength. I don't know what happened to it on yesterday, but yeah, I just noticed this earlier today. It had that insane push higher, 640 all the way up to 720. So that was an $80 push, more than 10%, right? Ethereum rejected at 2,400, looking like we're gonna go back for the lows. XRP is still in its, Jesus Christ, this is like 4-month range now. It's just, don't want to look at that. Solana also in a range, that $95 resistance. Link is kind of consolidating between two key levels here, $9, $11, right? I know FET had a bit of a breakout yesterday. This one's looking pretty nice, just like BNB. I mean, the overall trend is still lower, right? But if we go down to this kind of place right here, the daily is looking pretty nice. But let's see if we can hold this level now as support. Oops. See these wicks, 1, 2, 3. If we can hold this as support, okay, then we can maybe expect a continuation up into these 31-cent highs, right? This is one of the coins that I am holding a little bit of, but so it would be nice to see it go higher, but nothing much is going to happen as long as Bitcoin continues to stay bearish. Yeah, so this I'm just waiting for Bitcoin to show some strength. It's just kind of unfortunate how this is kind of played out. But I don't really trade crypto too much anymore. I'm more of a spot holder. I've been saying this for a while that I plan to get back to it. I haven't had the time. I'm just too focused on Forex and futures right now to kind of worry about Bitcoin as well. So, for now we'll see. But yeah, those are really the main things that I'm looking at. So let's see what the dollar does early on this week, and then I'll be keeping an eye on the pairs like I mentioned, and on gold, right? And of course, if you guys are in the free Telegram, you know that I'm going to keep you guys updated with whatever I'm thinking or whatever I'm doing, as I have been for, I don't know, a long time now. And if you haven't joined already, you can join. The link is in the description below. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. All right, well, thanks for joining, guys. I hope this was helpful. Take care and see you in the channel.